SF Standard obviously has the TK show, part of the Odyssey family. He is the great Tim Kawakami joining us on the River Islands guest line and on YouTube as well. So you can look Tim right in the eyes as he delivers these answers to you. Hi, Tim. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing great. Hey, I'm just going to use this as an example. I've seen it in many places. Pro Football Talk did a piece yesterday, and oddly,
my favorite website.
Here we go. and Chris Sims is one of the people having a discussion, and literally seems to be saying things that directly fly in the face of what Kyle Shanahan said and their great friends. But they arrived at the conclusion there is a dark cloud hanging over the 49ers organization. What is your response to that?
I don't know. Is there one? I mean, they're deciding this, so I guess they're right. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say. There's not some ideal things happening, but that happens to other teams too. I don't really care what Mike Florio says. So, I mean, I'm pretty much on the record about that. He does it to get you guys mad. He does it to get fans mad. He does it to get the 49ers mad. What? There's a dark cloud over everything. There's a dark cloud over 95.7, guys. There's a dark cloud. There's a dark cloud.
Yeah.
Like what? So how do you unprove or prove it? I don't know. There's stuff that's happened. Stuff happens to teams. So I don't love talking about that speculation. You know, maybe I do it too much sometimes, but hey, there's a dark cloud over me. There's a dark cloud over San Francisco Standard. There's a dark cloud over the city of San Francisco. There's a dark cloud over America. There's a dark cloud over everything. Yeah. Okay. Next.
Well,
let's.
So Tim, how would you put it into words? Because my take is, I see the stuff you're talking about. I don't really think it affects the football. Like, what's your take right now on the football?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's set up. Now, listen, your owner getting arrested and spending a day or two in jail is a big deal. We've written about it. That is no question something that they're going to have to deal with. It is a huge existential issue about how he's run the team, what will happen in the future, but it's set up for, he's not calling the plays here, right? He's not even, involved in the cuts to 53 or what scheme they're going to play. Now there's some discussion with him in the offseason, I'm sure, about what their plans are and how it's going to work. But for this season, for getting ready to play in Melbourne, Australia, in whatever it is, 15 days, whatever it is, very little to do with it. This football team is run by Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Obviously, the Kyle Shanahan accident is throw it into this, which Kyle really enjoys, by the way. He loves the fact that his name is thrown into this. It's been some stuff they've had to deal with, and maybe there will be effects. But I don't know if you guys are deciding that there's a dark cloud over them, but like, it's stuff that people deal with. It's human. People do stuff. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We'll see if the football team is affected by it. There's injuries, whatever you want to deal with that. I have covered a lot of football teams. Football teams do get hurt. Sometimes they bunch in at a bad time, like they did for the 49ers last season and did 2 seasons before that. You got to figure out how to deal with that. So I don't know. It gets to be a little bit facetious, I think, on their part. And I think it gets to be a little way over anxious on 49er fans' part. Just deal with the stuff. Other teams have stuff to deal with. This stuff, the two things that have the most focus, which obviously were huge, the Kyle Shanahan accident. But we were told from the beginning it looks like he'd be back by the season. He's back. We'll see if there's any effects to that. And the other one is the owner was in jail, and that's not going to affect the season. It's going to affect everything about them at some point, no doubt. NFL owners are large figures, but it has nothing to do with this season. So if you got more Florio questions for me, I'm going to answer them in very similar ways.
We're not the Dark Cloud Show, Tim, and I think you know that about me and Mark. I mean, you know us pretty well, but I just wonder, being down there, like, what are the things that you would say, not that are dark clouds, but maybe wispy clouds or cumulus clouds? Like, what are the things that you'd be concerned about?
I'd be concerned about that offensive line. There's no question. They went into it with not knowing who's going to start at left guard, wanting to have a competition, and they still have a competition, and maybe they have some guys who've not exactly shown that they deserve that job. I don't know what they're going to do at left guard. Dominic Pudi was your set right guard, real solid. There was no questions. Now he's been in concussion protocol. I believe he's back in for the second time this summer. Obviously won't be playing tomorrow in the preseason finale. I don't what they're going to expect for him in Australia. That's two pretty important things there. And we know they have not invested in the interior offensive line. We know they're not layered with super talent. Certainly don't have first-round draft picks except for Trent Williams at left tackle. That would be a big deal. And, they're playing the Rams, who are really good on the defensive front, whether they have Aaron Donald or not. We know the interior offensive line is very important, but we know they don't put a big personnel valuation on the interior offensive line. They think they can figure it out with Kyle Shanahan's system, Chris Furster. It's still a big deal. You can't just, because they don't put an emphasis on it, doesn't mean that it's not worth wondering what the hell they're doing there. So I guess I'll put it blankly. I think that's the big one. And then that's the positional one, I should say. The big one is they got a bunch of older players who are really good, who are really important, and I think, frankly, are going to miss some time during the season. Like, this happens. It's rare for older players to get through a 17-game season healthy into the playoffs. It's just going to be a matter of timing. Is Christian McCaffrey going to miss one game, or is he going to miss three? I don't know. He missed none last season. We'll see how that works at 30. We've got George Kittle coming off an Achilles tear and has just been activated of the pup. Is he going to play 17? Is he going to play the first game? I would think the odds were against that. Nick Bosa coming off ACL still hasn't really practiced yet. We'll see going into this week. I don't know that they can count on 17 from him. There's a lot of these guys. Mike Evans, another one. These are all very good players. That's good. You want good players. It's also, I think, a list of players that you can't count on to play 17 games. It's just a matter of, do you draw the luck? Is it 16? Is it 14 for some of them? Or some of them going to be 8? That's a very thin line to walk. We saw them walk it quite well last season in wins and playoff win, but also in the end, you're not going to win a lot of playoff games when you have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and George Kittle out. And Brock Purdy missing 9 games. If Brock Purdy misses 8 games again, I think they're in trouble. All these things are known, but doesn't mean that they're not extremely important to know about and understand that they're vulnerable there. Have they layered in enough talent underneath? I think they got more than they've had in the past. Doesn't mean that it's enough. It's just going to be almost a luck of the draw of how they play, how they get through it. But that's by far the biggest issue they're facing.
Tim Kawakami, SF Standard, is with us here on Willard and Dibbs 95.7 The Game. Tim, we had someone here at the station who I think was at a practice a couple of weeks ago and stated that to his eye, George Kittle was running on the side, but he saw a limp. Now, I was out there yesterday with you. He looks good to me, but I also understand the idea of week 1 is certainly in doubt. What are you seeing with George's health? How do you think the Niners play this?
My co-host on the 49ers Plus Minus show, Matt Barrow, says George kind of always walks around and runs with a limp.
Okay.
He kind of has a swagger to him. I have noticed at times when he's been on the sideline, like he's surprised by a ball coming his direction because he's not in the play. He's on the sideline. He doesn't look super adept at that, but I just think it's kind of the way he moves. And then when he's in a game, he looks fine. But I've always said I think week 1 is a bit much, given that they have to fly out there early. They're going super early. It's a long flight. What's his body going to be like after a long flight out if he plays and then a long flight back? Are you going to lose him for week 2, week 3? And those are important games too. I think they're looking at him, realistically, back in week 2 or 3, and if it all goes well, if everything's great, week 1. But I don't think he's quite ready for that, in my opinion. He probably will violently disagree with me, but it's a big injury. He hasn't gone full speed into practice. Long flight. These are all decisions they have to make very early. Yeah, I would agree with whoever said that sometimes you go, is this guy going to go full speed, knocking into people? But also, I've thought that during the regular season sometimes, and when he's been super healthy. So if you're a 49er fan, I think don't expect week 1 and maybe even be cautious about week 2. And if he makes it back in week 2, all the better for the 49ers. If he makes it back for week 1, is healthy through that. That's a bonus. That's like a bonus game. Might be starting to be getting, it's a bonus game if they get Michael Williams back for that game. At this point, I don't think he's going to make it back for that game. I think he's going to stay on PUP. And then you got Bosa is the last one. And I think that one's more likely than not that he'll be there for week 1, but I don't think it's a guarantee either.
And speaking of Bosa and also Kittle, to the extent of like what is left, and so you fly to Vegas and you play Thursday and then nothing Friday, but what is the rest of the schedule like to where you could actually get these guys 1 more or 2 more practices before you get on the flight?
Yeah, it might be like it's only one more serious one because they got the cuts, right? So, they might have a walkthrough or something, but they're going to be busy cutting people through from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the official cut Sunday. And then they're flying out Wednesday. So I don't know exactly. The players need another day off in there somewhere. Maybe there's a practice on Tuesday. So it almost was like yesterday was the final day of training camp. Willard showed up. So they said, if Willard's going to show up, forget this.
It's big,
big deal. Yeah.
This is it. We've hit the peak here. But yeah, it's not a lot of more work that can be done. I think they've done the work. Now, do they, they're going to want to see those guys at full speed before they feel good about bringing them to Australia. I don't know exactly. They'll be more like 50 to 75% speed. Maybe that's all you want to put them through at this point, but it's not much. It really isn't. Once they play this game on Thursday, there's not a lot of left of like evaluation time because they're going to practice. Their next real practices might be in Australia. And are those going to be real practices? The water's going to be spinning the other direction. And I don't know all these things. And I think it was a guy from Australia who at the Shanahan press was like, do you realize it's going to be winter in Australia when you're there? And Shannon's like, seems genuinely surprised. Like, what? Like, is it going to be cold? I think it actually turns to spring while they're in the air. So I don't know. They'll have jackets on before they board the plane for Australia. I don't know. But my understanding is the temperature is going to be just fine. There is all indications in the high 60s, low 70s. But it's going to be different there. I don't know if they can expect to have full practices. They're not going to bring, obviously, all their players there because they're going to cut a lot of them on Sunday. It's going to be weird, but they'll have to adjust to it. They'll have to plan for it. I just think the sense would be not to push it because of this weird schedule for a lot of these guys. If they're borderline, get them ready to go week 2 or week 3. Those games count too.
Tim, it is currently 7 a.m. tomorrow in Melbourne, and apparently it is 46 degrees at this hour. But we're heading for 60. We're heading for 60, some clouds, a little wind out of the northwest at 4 miles an hour.
Okay. I'm not going, but I'll alert the 49ers. They are now aware that it is wintertime now, but will be spring when they get off that plane. So obviously everything's figured out there. It was funny just to see Kyle's face. Right. I said he went, winter? It's going to be wintertime? Eskimos? Are we going Penguins? What's going on down there?
What are they trying to figure out tomorrow in this game? Like if a Niner fan is sitting down to watch this, what should they be looking for?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. Who's going to be the third stringers? I think essentially left guard. They're going to look at. I don't know if they're really. Connor Colby, if he really plays well, he might be the starting right guard. Frankly, because Pooney is going to be out for that game for sure, and it doesn't really matter. But is he on pace to play in week 1? I don't know. If he's not, then Connor Colby's all of a sudden your right guard, and Carver Willis, the rookie who did not play guard in college, is your starting left guard. Maybe. They're waiting for Robert Jones. I think if Robert Jones is healthy, he has not been healthy. He's your starting left guard. He's obviously not going to play on Thursday. So I think maybe you're looking to see those 2 young guards play if they do, but almost like you're kind of scared to play him too much because they might get hurt. Austin Pleasance, I think, was a surprise entry into the left guard battle in the last game. And then he plays into the fourth quarter and he gets hurt. And now maybe he's not an option for this. So I just would look at some of the younger players, some of the guys who are up for some of the final spots, Tatum Bethune versus, Luke Gifford.
Gifford, yeah.
All the Luke Gifford might be a linebacker spot. The corners, Prysock, rookie corner. Is he, who's looking good? as a special teams. I know people don't watch special teams, but I do sometimes in the preseason just to see who's on those teams, because sometimes it's a big hint about who their coaches are hoping to make the team. But beyond that, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to see in that, because they don't want these guys that they're going to count on in week one, which we have already said it's not everybody. They don't want to get anyone else hurt, because then you're going to have even more injury questions going into the Melbourne trip. I would just say the two guards, whoever's playing at guard, see if they can hold up. Those might be your starting guards, even if they're third string, quote unquote, third string, second string, going into guys are going to block the Los Angeles Rams in Melbourne on September 10.
I guess bigger picture, like last year they had injuries and they still went 12-5 and won a road playoff game. When you look at this team and this roster and a schedule that should be a little bit tougher, how do you size this year up? Not in light of a 12-5 year, but when you look at this team, what do you think about their chances?
Yeah, I think, it's what we kind of thought at the end of last year, is that this is a team that could compete, but obviously wasn't as good as the Seattle Seahawks. Can they raise their game or hope that the Seahawks drop a little? I think both things could happen. I think, Mike Evans is a big step up for them as a wide receiver one. I think, they've got a rookie class that you can really see getting real snaps, real important snaps, maybe being good in those snaps. Deshaun Stribling is somebody who's been impressive every time he's hit the practice field. And also, as everyone's seen in the preseason games, I think he's going to get some real plays. I think he's going to be someone who's going to be important. Kalen Black, we saw him in the exhibition game. I think he's going to be important. Do they get enough from that group, and maybe last year's rookies too, who were solid, to save them from a few games when their top guys are out, and who hold them up maybe while, if Kittle and Michael Williams and Bosa aren't playing in week one? I don't know that. I'm not announcing that, but it's very possible. That's the X factor for them. Other teams have other X factors. All could, lift them above the 49ers. But I just think it's the veterans stay healthy enough, not all the way healthy enough. And then do they have the second line, which they haven't really had the last few years, where you can just count on their backups to make plays, to stay in there and throw punches with the Rams and the Seahawks and whoever else they're going to play. They were good enough to be in the mix last season. If you're good enough in the mix and you haven't lost anybody major, and you believe you have some new additions, I think Osa Odigizua is a major piece of this, then you got a shot at it. And then it's stay healthy, and it's Brock Purdy. Can you lift him up? And he's had a great camp. I think they can count on him. And then you take your shot in the playoffs. I think they're solid. I don't know that I would put them ahead of the Rams or the Seahawks. And Las Vegas does not put them ahead of the Rams or the Seahawks. But you wouldn't have thought they were going to win 12 games last year either, given those injuries. So I think you put them in there. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see who stays healthy. Let's see if McCaffrey can still be at the top of his game. Let's see what Raheem Morris's defense is going to look like. It's going to be different. It's definitely looked different in camp. But they have the talent to be right there. We've seen Shanahan pull off wins like the two ones, the one win in Seattle in the regular season, the win in LA in the regular season, when you thought that maybe they didn't have the same kind of talent level as the other team. I think they're at the same spot, and I put them behind those two, but you can't always count on the ordering in the preseason to tell you how it's going to go. We couldn't have done that last year with the Seahawks. You wouldn't have said for sure they're going to win a Super Bowl. I think the 49ers are there with those two teams, and then it's going to be where the dice roll from there. But I think they put themselves in a decent situation. And then these rookies, more so than any class in a lot of years, and maybe I haven't gone through every single one, but maybe since 2019, where you can go, and that's Bosa and Debo, pretty big class, that you can go, these guys are going to play, and they're going to be playing not because they have to, but because the coaches want them to, which means maybe they can make significant, plays, significant moments. And Stribling, Black, Jaden Duggar, Grayson Halton, these guys have looked really solid, like real NFL players in camp. And again, I have not been able to say that for a lot of years with the 49ers draft class.
Tim Kawakami, SF Standard. Hey, I want to switch gears before you leave, and it's this. I find you to be really good in terms of understanding the thought process of a team in any given moment. So here's the question. A year from today, who's more likely to still be with the Giants, Tony Vitello or Rafi Devers?
I would have said I'll stick with. I think Devers is just because that contract, and now he's starting to hit. Now maybe him starting to hit makes him more tradable. I could throw that one out there, but I think that $31 million a year through 2033 is going to make him very likely to remain on the Giants, unless they're willing to pay some of it off, even with him hitting like this. And I don't know how much they're going to be willing to pay off. Let's see how the next season goes. Vitello could be there for 5 years, but I just think $31 million a year is what I'll go with, more so than on the other side with Vitello. I don't know how that's going to go. I think next season, he's going to go into next season, but then from then on, it's going to be under the microscope. That team starts off slowly. If there's any issues, maybe there's a chance for a change there where there wasn't going to be this year. But let's see it. I don't really know how good Vitello is as a manager. The way I've said it is, like, I haven't seen any major issues to tell you who he isn't a good manager, but I sure haven't seen any to tell you that he is a good manager. Yeah. By this point, you usually know, like, you kind of know by now, or at least have a feeling. I think you knew for Stephen Vogt, in Cleveland. I think you knew for various other young ones that maybe they didn't have it. Don't know with him. I think, if you just throw the two together, who's more important, whose success is more important, it's Devers for sure. He's the most important player on that team because he does have this power. He's got 29 home runs this season after being terrible for 2 months. It's a hard thing to kind of evaluate, and I'll keep saying the 2 months did matter. Those were the 2 months that took him out of this. So him being terrible has to at some point be recorded here. But the stats since then have been great. They're paying him so much. I don't know if they're getting out of him for another year. And with Vitello, I think is much more of a question mark.